really on that. They say no EBT. No, they own that. The food stamp EBT is over with. I can only buy steak, chicken, vegetables, no snacks, no nothing. I can't get no more chip. You feel me, y'all? Man, they really did that shit, y'all. It's over with, y'all.
Yeah, it's over with, at least in some places. And they're losing their minds over it.
We stood and signed 6 additional SNAP waivers. Louisiana, Texas, West Virginia, Colorado, waivers for what? To stop the selling of sugary drinks and junk food. But in those states, no longer can you use taxpayer dollars to do it.
It is being called a major win for the MAHA movement. It is a major win. It's not just being called that. More states removing junk food from SNAP programs. That's food stamps, prioritizing real nutrition over processed snacks, sugary drinks. That brings the total to 12 states, so 1 dozen so far, all restricting SNAP purchases of unhealthy foods, beverages under the new USDA waivers. Caroline, will it be 50? No.
No, it's not. It's not going. I'm not really sure how this is going to play out. But I think zooming out here, the fact that SNAP is for low-income Americans, I think, is the biggest point. Because for a long time, I think we assumed as a culture that Make America Healthy Again, all these attempts at organic eating, holistic living, was a luxury that only the higher echelons of society could really afford. But the stats don't lie. 25% of SNAP dollars go to candy and soda. That is a moral abomination. It used to be that during the Great Depression era, when you think of poor Americans, you think of undernourished, starved people. It's actually the opposite now, that they're overnourished in a way that causes heart disease and hypertension and an obesity crisis. If we're going to subsidize food in America for those who are the most needy, that's fine. But we shouldn't be subsidizing an obesity crisis. And this is the first step in the right direction to actually remove those incentives, because we know that the food companies, especially the junk food companies, are in Congress all the time lobbying to keep basically the SNAP benefits, because they know that at the grocery store checkout line, a lot of these low-income Americans in these very, very disadvantaged communities are buying crap.
Yeah.
Facts. That's facts. And I've witnessed it myself. But let's get into some of these folks' reactions, because boy, oh boy, are they angry about losing their snacks. Check it out.
I'm probably going to piss y'all off, but I said it before and I'm going to say it again. Rich people should have no say in how people who receive food stamps spend their food stamps. People who are not food stamp recipients should not have a say and how food stamp recipients spend their food stamps. People who have never had to survive on food stamps should not have a say in how people who receive food stamps spend their food stamps. Stopping food stamp recipients from buying junk food with their food stamps is only going to lead to more families going without food. I'll ask again. Have you ever had to live in a food desert, a neighborhood where food is not easily accessible, and the only place that you can actually access only sells junk food? Have you ever had to work with a budget of $400 a month to support your family of 4? As a matter of fact, have you ever had to work with a $400 a month budget to feed a family of 2? Now, let's also put into perspective that in a lot of low-income neighborhoods, most of the fruits and vegetables that are available to them are not good quality. They don't last more than 2 days in the refrigerator. And they're expensive. So imagine spending all of the money that you received for food stamps on produce, and it doesn't last you more than 2 days. And now you're out of money, but you still got to feed that family of 4. And let's not forget that the food stamp budget is being cut, which means that people are going to receive less money in food stamps than they have in the past. But prices are still going up for groceries. And let's also weave into the conversation that it's extremely paternalistic for you to think that you know what's best for people in their communities and that you should dictate how they spend their money. And before y'all start this nonsense of, oh, it's my tax money, I should be able to determine how people spend it. You pay more in taxes towards military, and you have absolutely no say in how it's spent. Move on. And the sad reality is that everyone is invested in doing everything but fixing the actual problem. Like, you could just make healthier foods more accessible in every community. You could make it so that people could afford to buy more groceries, but instead we're making it harder.
So let's check a little bit of that right now. Yes, we do have a say, and if you don't want us to have a say, then don't take our tax dollars. Spend your own money. And as far as the military goes, actually, we do have a say. It's called voting, right? Voting for the people in Congress, voting for the right president. So actually, technically, we do kind of have a say. And yeah, don't take our tax dollars. Spend your own money. If you don't want us to have anything to say about it, simple and plain.
What folks on food stamps. Hey, can I ask you something? Why do people care so much about what folks on food stamps buy? The entire purpose of the SNAP program was to make sure that everybody has access to food. So who cares if they're using a portion of those dollars to buy snacks or juices? Kids love snack and juices. Adults love snack and juices. So why should they not have access to those things too? And let's be real, a lot of people live in food deserts. They may not have access to those grocery stores that have affordable and nutritious food sources. And there may not be a reliable transportation source to get them from their neighborhood to the grocery stores and then back to their neighborhoods. So what they may have access to quickly get food is those corner stores and gas stations. And what do corner stores and gas stations usually have? A lot of junk foods. Let's be real, not everybody knows how to prepare like a scratch meal with fresh ingredients. Some people never learn, and it could just be that they're living in a cycle of being in food deserts and all they've ever had access to was junk food. So if we want to have a conversation about addressing food deserts and social inequalities and making sure everybody has access to nutritious food, that's a different conversation. And even if they do know how to make scratch meals, like they may not have the time. Like there are people working multiple jobs to make ends meet, so who cares if they get a microwavable meal or some snacks or junk foods to just get them through the day? Like, why do people care so much about what they're spending their benefits on? I personally don't care. If people are using their benefits to feed themselves and their families, I feel like the program is working. But I've seen a lot of conversations lately about people like demonizing recipients of SNAP benefits for buying like junk foods in addition to whatever else they're buying. And I'm just like, they're buying food. What is the issue?
Oh, man. I'll touch on that here in a second, but I want y'all to check out this next one, all right? Here it is.
Oh, here we go with this BS. So ain't nobody gonna talk about the way how they just put Houston, Texas on the diet for next year? Yeah, baby, you can't go up in there and get an RC no more on food stamps. Don't go in there looking for no zebra cake, baby. Don't go in there looking for, sports drink. You can't get that no more. Don't go in there looking for no Star Crunches, baby. Don't go in there looking for no Big Peach. Don't go in there looking for no Big Blue. You can't get another Dr. Pepper. You can't get a Coke on there, baby. Do you understand me? Because they done just put us on a goddamn diet. Ever since Trump done been in that office, all he been doing is pimping that pen. That's it. I'm so tired of him. He didn't put that goddamn pen down. Because what you trying to say? You trying to say our back's still big? That's what you trying to say? Baby, you need to understand we got kids. And kids like to eat snacks. They like to eat snacks. But yeah, though. But that's that BS. Welcome to Houston, Texas. Y'all get ready for next year.
That is so ignorant. So ignorant. We got kids, and kids like to eat snacks. Yeah, and a kid would like to smoke crack too, but would you let them? Carry on.
This is a really weird and scary thing to even comment, because what you're saying is that if you are poor, you do not get a choice to buy what you want. Do you know what that sounds like? A dystopia. That's exactly what that sounds like. Because in a lot of books, if you actually read books, the poor people don't have a choice of what they eat. They eat what the government tells them they can eat. That's what you're wanting? Really? Because that's not something to flex about.
It absolutely is. And here's the issue. Here's the issue that nobody's really addressing. It's not just about telling you what it is that you can or can't eat. First off, a lot of these folks are overweight. I know some of them, right? Personally, I know some of these folks. They're overweight, out of shape. And listen, I'm out of shape my darn self, which, hey, listen, I'm going to start live streaming some of my workouts here soon. So stay tuned for that, because I got to get myself back in shape. I got about 15, 20 pounds I want to drop. So, yeah, going to be live streaming that here soon. Hopefully y'all join me on that journey. But anyway, the issue doesn't just stop there. So not only are we subsidizing you eating this terrible junk when you could be buying nutritious food with your food stamps, and if you want to buy the junk, then you just buy it with your own food. And if you want your kids to have junk, which I think is part of the problem, you could buy it with your own money. Otherwise, you can give your kids nutritious meals with food stamps. Just because a kid wants some sweet and sugary snacks doesn't mean you have to give it to them. I'm not saying that they can't ever have sweet and sugary things, but that shouldn't be a child's diet simply because they're a child and that's what they like. Like, that's just... I think that's part of the problem with some of these kids these days. Instead of parents being actual parents, parents want to be best friends. And I think that's an issue. But we'll save that conversation for another day. Maybe we'll talk about that on the second channel. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the second channel, Extra Rich. All right? Link is in the description. But not only are we subsidizing you eating unhealthy foods, which is then causing you to gain weight and garner other health issues, now on the back end, you're going into a healthcare system where we're probably paying for that as well. So now we're getting double taxed because you got to go. We're providing the food for you that gets you out of shape and unhealthy, and providing your health care, helping to pay for your health care, subsidizing that because of the unhealthy food that you're eating. And now you got to go to the hospital to get all these medical procedures and things done. And now we're paying for that too. So by stopping this over here, we lessen this over here. See what I'm saying? But hey, I'm a bad guy for that, huh? I'm a bad guy, of course.
Her changes to the SNAP program are emblematic of that commitment. SNAP, we're spending $405 million a day on SNAP, and about 10% is going to sugary drinks. And between, and if you add candies to that, it's about 13 to 17%. And we all believe in free choice. We live in a democracy. People can make their own choice about what they're going to buy and what they're not going to buy. If you want to buy a sugary soda, you ought to be able to do that.
And they can. Just do it with your own money. Nobody's stopping you from buying it with your own money.
But the U.S. taxpayer should not pay for it. And the U.S. taxpayer should not be paying to feed kids foods, the poorest kids in our country, with foods that are going to give them diabetes. And then my agency ends up through Medicaid and Medicare paying for those injuries. So we're going to put an end to that, and we're doing it step by step, state by state.
Bingo. Laid it out perfectly. Laid it out perfectly. Well said. Bingo. And now it creates a cycle, right? Because you're taking these food stamps and giving your kids these unhealthy snacks, drinks, and all this sugar. They're growing up with that mentality, taking it into adulthood, and repeating the same cycle. And a lot of these adults, and some of y'all may know who I'm talking about when I say this, because I know a couple of them. A lot of these adults pass down the mentality of, yeah, I'm going to live off of food stamps and subsidized housing for the rest of my life. They pass that mentality down. So now the kids are doing the same thing, and then their kids are learning that, and then it's just a complete cycle. So now we're going to stop it. At least the unhealthy living, the unhealthy eating, at least, right? If you want to eat unhealthy sugary drinks and zebra cakes, as the chick said, then buy them with your own money. If you can't afford them, then go work 2 jobs. If 2 jobs ain't enough, then work 3. Work 3. Just saying. I'm just saying it. Bro, we gotta stop. We gotta stop with this soft, coddled mentality. These folks nowadays, I can't work 2 jobs. My mental is just a wreck. My back, my knees. But man, stop. Okay, cry and complain. Go broke. Go live on the streets. Thing. Listen. I don't feel bad because I've watched older generations of people never complain about a single thing. They just showed up and they got it done. And y'all can vouch for this, right? I know some of y'all know some older folks who just showed up. Day in, day out, worked from sun up to sundown, never complained, never said anything, but they got up and they got it done. Nowadays, oh man, I can't do that. No, I can't. Okay, then starve. Starve. If you don't want to go work and bust your behind to make it somewhere in life, then starve. I'm sorry. I'm just so sick of this soft mentality, bro. I'm just sick of it, man. I'm sorry. I really am. I really am. But y'all get in the comments and let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I too harsh? I don't believe that I am. I think that's just the reality of life, right? Now, listen. Let me make this clear before we close out. I'm not saying people shouldn't have the ability to, fall back on government assistance. Everybody needs some assistance at some point in life, right? We all fall upon hard times at some point. I'm not saying that. Or even just disabled folks, right? I understand that. But my problem is when people want to live off of it and then cry and complain when stuff like this happens, where we're like, yeah, no, you're not going to be able to basically give yourself diabetes and all of these other health problems that we then also have to pay for as well. You can have your food stamps, but you're going to buy nutritious and healthy food with it. What's the problem? You're not starving. You're not going hungry. You still got food. What's the problem? What's the issue? Anyway, get in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. Stay safe. Peace and love. I'm out.